There we go. So welcome to talking about students as staff for our first of hopefully a series of GLMA websites. But of course, anyone is welcome to join us to learn a little bit more about experiences in the library. And I am hoping that we have some great suggestions and ideas for guests who would like to volunteer their time to share a little bit. The little snippet of video that we were just showing was from our TikToks, was actually at our first meeting over the summer, the retreat with my staff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So, but first of all, let's get rolling on here. Oh, look, pretty leaves. Okay, so first of all, who am I? My name is Bridget Bryson. As you can tell from my accent, I am originally from the UK. I was an ELA teacher and started off teaching actually in Iowa, second career teacher in my 40s, and was an ELA teacher. Moved to Georgia, taught at one middle school, moved to another middle school when it opened. And then last year, I got offered the opportunity to become a teacher librarian, which worked really well with a personal situation I was in with my mother moving over from England and was no longer able to grade 150 papers every weekend, and needed something where I could still engage with kids, could still work with kids, but really couldn't put what I did in as an ELA teacher. And so I will have my contact information again at the end. I love to hike. I love to go walks, and the Canva animations are killing me there. You will see the larger dog there. That's Toffee Girl, and she is a huge part of my life. And then the little one is our new puppy who hasn't come home yet, who's currently called Barbie. And I'm not sure about that. But then, as my husband says, every morning we can get up and say, "Hi, Barbie." So there are some thoughts there to be had for sure. So how did it all begin? Well, I got offered this opportunity to be the teacher librarian, and I was very excited about it. Did not have my library degree yet, actually going to be starting that in January, but did know as an ELA teacher and with my reading certification, had some thoughts about what we could do in our media center, which was a pretty quiet place a lot of the time, was a very library and was often closed. We had a para running it who did her best with little to no support, but she was on her own. And so I came in guns a-blazing, full of ideas. And one of the first things I wanted to do was find out what students wanted. So I sent out surveys. I asked my ELA kids. And the one resounding thing I got back from my kids was, what can we do to help? Can we meet and share our ideas? So that's exactly what I did. Sent out a message, a survey to the school, and invited my ELA kids and anyone else who was interested to come meet with me. We had a couple of after school meetings. I think we might have had one before school too, to come up with ideas and brainstorms. And from that came the idea of having a committee. And so we talked about how we would do that, how many students we would have. And we developed an application process. The kids were very much a part of that. And we talked about what choices we would do. And I talked to our principal about how we would run that. He thought it was a great idea. And we were also starting flex time during this school year. So we were going to have this dedicated sort of 35, 40 minutes a day, which was going to be a flex time class. And initially there was going to be a lot of freedom. So it was going to be perfect for what I was planning. My kids could see me every day if they needed to. But we kind of learned as we went, and things did sort of change as the year went on. Teachers were having problems getting kids going to help sessions. And so it became a much more academic time rather than a flex time. But I was still able to have some volunteer time, work with the kids. And what we actually ended up doing was changing the committee to be my homeroom. And homeroom meets with a homeroom teacher every Monday during that 40-minute dedicated flex time. And so that became kind of our planning time, and everything went from there. The first thing we did, as I said, was come up with an application process. And I really had to get the teacher buy-in here. And the teachers were absolutely fantastic. And so the kids were asked questions, the main question being what was their vision for the MLC. And I'm going to be sharing the questions a little bit later as well. And you will have access to everything that you want. But the big thing was asking the teachers to rank the kids, because the kids would say what they want, but I also wanted feedback from the teachers. Not that that was the be all and end all, because I actually had a couple of kids who gave really fantastic answers. The teachers didn't score as high with them, but I knew the kids, they'd already been involved and they worked out to be brilliant. That was the space that they needed. So we did have an application. And there was so much paper because I didn't want to do an online one. I really did want the kids to write, and I wanted to get the feedback from the teachers, which I felt would be more likely with a paper application. One thing that I did think of that I was really happy about, and I recommend to everyone when you do this, was on the kids' application, I asked them to write down the teachers they had asked to give them their recommendations. The teachers were supposed to turn the recommendations into me. What that meant is that allowed me, when the recommendations were missing, allowed me to go straight to the teacher and say, hey, I didn't get this recommendation. And then I would find out that sure enough, either the kid had never actually asked them for the recommendation, or the teacher had been like really busy and just hadn't had the opportunity to get that done. So that was helpful to all of us to find out where we were at. I got the first year, I got 20 applications, which was great because I wanted 20 kids. So that was nice. Last year, I had 158 applications, which was a little harder. So the first year, I had 20 kids. They were fantastic, 20 students. 10 to 15 of them worked really, really hard, and the other ones were part of the team. This last year, I had 158 applications. It broke my heart saying no, so I ended up allowing more kids than I should have done and ended up with 30 kids. It made a big difference. And ironically, I still had about the same number of kids who actually did the work. So kind of interesting there. And when I get into lessons learned, I'm going to be talking a little bit about those numbers. So the first year we did a brainstorm and it was quite low key. The second year I had 2 summer retreats. And if you were in the beginning, you saw little videos of both of them, actually. The first one where we took big lengths of butcher paper, we laid them across tables, and we round robin brainstormed for like 15 minutes. I wouldn't let them take the pens off the paper. And 15 minutes is a long time. But they came up with such brilliant ideas. So they got their paper and they brainstormed. And then on the second week, we literally stood at whiteboards and went through all the ideas and wrote down which ones we wanted to do, which ones we wanted to keep. And that's one of the things I strongly recommend, is to really go into the year with a plan, because as we all know, once school starts, it's madness. Everything goes crazy. And so we did come up with a plan. Oops, I'm sorry. I was going to Mazzy's interview there, and I thought I had it linked here, and there it is. Okay, so that anyone can share. And the kids came up with a very ambitious plan, from back to school ideas all the way through March, April, May. And we've added as the year has gone on. Okay, so now I'm going to share a little interview with Mazzy. I always forget that with Canva, it starts right away. And Mazzy is one of our community members. Now, she did the whole interview on video, and our microphones ran out of batteries halfway through, so we only got the first answer. But I know that Mazzy wants to be on the video, and she got her parents to sign the permission slip. So here is Mazzy. Hi.
Hi,
And what is your name?
Mazzy,
And Mazzy, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
And Mazzy, you are one of the stars on the MLC community, yes, which is a little different than being aides. So what made you want to join the community?
I saw in the community that you were able to come up with these wonderful ideas to help out the school and just be part of this wonderful team that just tries to make this school and the library just better.
Awesome. Mazzy is very, very excited about being on the committee, and she is also going to be an aide next semester. So she's very excited. The first thing I did ask the kids was why, and I had two parents sign off, one for video, one for responses. Sharanya basically, now, first of all, she blew me away. I had no idea she had her own podcast, but she does. So I subscribed to that, of course. But she wanted to learn about marketing, and that's why she wanted to join the committee. She just has so many ideas, and she truly does. In fact, it's Sharanya who figured out that one of our teachers is trained as a yoga instructor, and we now have yoga every Thursday morning at school for the kids. And she has led that. So it's absolutely amazing. When I asked them what was the best thing we did, Mazzy was all about Harry Potter Club, and Mazzy actually organized Harry Potter Club. She was the lead volunteer there, and they literally created 5 days worth of activities, from potion making to wand creating. And that was just hers. I love the way she said, I couldn't believe how intense the children were. She was a little intense too. And then we had Sharanya, who said the Veterans Day breakfast was her favorite. She really loved that. They decorated the MLC, they created slides, they stayed after school to set it all up. Brilliant kids. And then Mazzy, she also said that she loves all the contests. They do contests every month, and she talked about how it was a place for everyone, which made my heart sing a little bit. Mazzy, I love the comment she made where she said being on the committee is kind of hard work, but it feels more like recess. I wish all of school was about ideas, creativity, and fun. Mazzy, I'm with you on that one. And then Sharanya talks about how it's a different kind of leadership, a different kind of knowledge, and the fact that they have all the time to do all the things they want. And so it's a great place for those kids who are always looking for something else to do. I asked the kids how librarians who didn't have a Thrive schedule, who could handle this, and what about librarians who are teaching all day? Because what happens with us is we meet the kids on Monday, they have this great plan, they figure out over the week the extra time they're going to have to come in before school, after school, whether they want to sign up for a Thrive, and we kind of develop this system. But if you don't have those kids for that Monday on a homeroom, that makes life a little bit difficult. Both the kids totally felt you could do it as a club. You wouldn't be able to do as much simply because of time that you would have with the kids, a number of kids. But they made a very good point that the kids who did want to meet out of school, they would be your very, very committed kids. Sharanya commented that knowing we're meeting each week makes knowing meeting easier and planning easier. But she did comment that it would be hard on the kids who were bus bound. Mazzy talked about the fact that once things are set up, then the committee would absolutely run things. And in fact, last year, it was more like a club. This year, it's more like a class. So it's kind of interesting. Ironically, I would say we did more when it was out of school than we do in school, because we are slaves to that bell in school. I love Charanya's comment. I've noticed that the more Mrs. Bryson expects, the more we can do. I think we are good when someone believes in us. Again, a telling comment from our kids. So one of the questions I hear a lot is, you're doing this in middle school. How could you do this in elementary school? So I asked the kids, because they come up with all my good ideas. Mazzy felt the little kids would want to be involved, but couldn't be as independent. She also commented that they might not be able to reach the shelves. But I was like, well, hopefully they can in the elementary school. In her elementary school, she also commented there were lots of parents who wanted to volunteer. And this perhaps could be a great way to use parent volunteers to help the kids learn to volunteer. Smart. Sharanya commented on how she volunteers with little kids all the time, and there is tons that they can do. She talked about kids sorting books by genre and then putting them on the shelf so that the adult can maybe put them away in the right place. She said kids love making stuff, and fifth graders could teach younger kids how to help out, and they could do reading alouds. She made a really good point that kids often have little jobs and tasks in elementary school. They're used to that. So why not bring that to the library as well? I thought that was a really good idea. So what's ahead? Well, 30 students is way too many, I'm telling you. So one of the things that I want to do this year as I sit down, I recreate the application form, is I'm going to have less kids. How I'm going to choose them is always a nightmare, but it is what it is. Trying to assign definitely doesn't work as well as choice. When I had the kids for the summer retreat and they planned all the events and activities they wanted to do for the year ahead, they bought into everything they wanted to do. And in fact, they're disappointed when I tell them that some things might be a little bit too much. So we really tried to focus on starting with the Heritage Month, what month it was, kind of sort of the things we had to celebrate. And then we added in from there things like the Harry Potter camp. We're going to do a Percy Jackson camp in January because that coincides with the December release date of the Netflix show. Now, they wanted to do it in December, and I was all gung-ho to do it in December, but life has just got out of control. So we're moving it to January. One of the things that I did last year is I allowed the 7th graders to stay on in 8th grade. That was probably a mistake. There were 2 or 3 kids who stayed on who really weren't into it. They're just doing it because they feel like it looks good. And yeah, they're kind of that space. So I am going to ask them to reapply. I'll do it a little differently. Their questions will be a little different, more about what they wish we'd done, what they felt their strengths were, and I'll be able to make a much better decision from that. The summer retreat was definitely a game changer. I know that's a lot for us to commit a couple of days in the summer, but it was great. I got to know the kids better. I got to find out who was strong at what, and they really came up with ideas. And it's made this year run a lot more smoothly, especially with so many kids. Added privileges like lunch in the MLC are very, very powerful. My kids love the fact that they're able to come and have lunch in the media center, because that is a privilege. As for sort of like, I laugh at them and I say, it's your paycheck. All right, and then we have student aids. Now, student aids is a little different. They come to me in the connections. Mr. Sargent, our fabulous principal, had the idea, asked me if I'd consider it. He comes from high school, and so it was something he was more familiar with. And I was like, sure, why not? Now, I will tell you, I do have a para, a library aide who works with me. So I do have an extra adult. So that is very helpful when I'm teaching, when I have to get stuff done. Like today, I was focusing on getting our video newsletter done. I was focusing on finishing these slides, and she was there working with our aides. So that is something that I'm very fortunate in having. However, I do believe that I probably would take on less if I didn't have an aide, and I potentially could be with the kids more and could teach them maybe not to do quite the extent of the things they do in Desana Middle School, but they would all be able to do a lot that would free up my time, that would make up for not having an aide. It's all part of that creativity of thinking about how it's going to best suit you. So we have, the way we started this year is 3 students per connection class, 7th and 8th grade only. So the way our school schedule works is every grade level has 2 connections classes back to back. We have a complete skinny schedule, no block. So they have connections classes back to back, which is when the content teachers have their planning. And I then have the aides who come and work with me. One thing that is nice about it is I now know when all the teachers have their planning, and I don't get confused by schedules when we change because my kids are there. We have the same application form. We just had a different question. Next year, I think I'm probably going to do a separate application form, which will make our life easy. And you can see on these pictures a few things that they've done. They did this fantastic snowman for their genre of the month. This year, they did, or this month rather, they have worked with the ELA teachers to spotlight authors, spotlight the topic of the theme of the unit right now. They have worked with me. I had a wonderful friend and fellow media specialist, Amanda Stavropoulos, who is at Alliance, sorry, not Alliance High School, FVA, our virtual academy. And she created a wonderful fall tic-tac-toe. So as all good ideas are, we stole, borrowed from that, and our kids created their own. And then we also created a December tic-tac-toe that the kids are doing right now. I got these really cute wristband erasers from the ASL conference. They were not that expensive, and I bought like 50 of them, and only had a couple of kids earn them, so that'll be an ongoing prize. So then we also have our aides and who interviewed, and these guys did videos. So enough of me talking. Let's listen to what they've got to say. All right. So your name is?
My name is Bart.
And?
My name is Kenmai.
All right. So Sparsh and Kanmai, you are both aides, right?
Yes.
You are MLC aides. So what grade are you guys in?
7.
Seventh grade. So what made you decide you wanted to be an MLC aide? Let's start with you, Sparsh.
I wanted to be an MLCA because, like, I really like the MLC. I come here a lot to read books, and I just wanted to make it a better place.
Nice. Tanmai, do you feel like you're making a difference in the school by being an aide?
Yes, because I can, like, encourage more people to come to the MLC instead of, like, just reading the book. I can share with other people.
Perfect. So what kind of things do you do when you're here working?
So we, like, try to promote the MLC in many different ways. We also help around making things for people much easier.
Okay, and sometimes it's not that exciting, right? Sometimes you have to do boring stuff. What's some of the boring stuff?
Well, like shelving books or like putting things in like certain places.
Okay, and like just keeping everything organized, right? What about putting away Chromebooks? I know that's your personal favorite, Sparsh.
Actually, it is.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, because like I really love technology.
And you like organizing everything. Yeah, because some of the students leave it a bit of a disaster, right? So I know that you've been doing a lot of work with like social media. You guys have been taking care of posters and doing all the things. What is your favorite thing about being an MLC aide? Start with you, Kenmai.
It would be like actually like helping promote it, like making videos, like posters, and making fun activities for like the entire school to enjoy, while like promoting books as well.
Because you feel like you're making an impact, right? What about you, Sparsh?
Mine's is like kind of like helping the MLC get better and improve on certain things.
Is there anything you can think of particularly, either of you, that you're particularly proud of?
I think I'm proud of my social media campaign.
I am too. You had what, like 700 views on that video? It was very cool. What about you?
Well, like our posters are like how we like try to like make it more easy for people to find books.
So it's kind of cool looking around and it's your work. I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Thank you.
All right, they are so cute. So here I talked a little bit about the application process before, but I asked them why they want to be involved and what skills do they have and what's their vision. And we got some great ideas just from the application forms and some chuckles as well. I'm not going to lie. Some of them were kind of amusing, but good to read. And then, of course, very important was what the teachers said about them. And I found the teachers were actually very, very honest. I had a few right at the beginning that I would kind of go back to and be like, you gave both of these guys this score, and another teacher didn't score as highly. And once they realized that I was actually dead serious, I really did want to know. The kids weren't going to know what they said, of course. I found that people got very, very honest with them. Which was really nice. And it was just kind of interesting how, the comments, again, there was some pretty amusing comments that were just worth the read. So these are all the things the aides do. Now, this is a clip from my Canvas page for the MLC. And by the way, I've been saying MLC all night. That's what we call our media center, the Media and Learning Center. And these are all the jobs that they really do. So they do shelving, they tidy, they arrange the seating, they do monthly online news. We create a video that gets sent out to staff each month. We're going to try and amp that up a little bit here coming soon. Hopefully get to do bi-weekly. Bi-month, yes, fortnightly. They do how-to videos when we're having glitches right at the beginning of the year. They create a lot of how-to videos. They do First Chapter Friday. They do a genre of the month. We're about to start doing nonfiction genre of the month. They help me with this or that, which is kind of fun. I go out and, well, actually, they're going to explain that in the next video. So I'll make you watch that. They'll cover for Julie, Miss Adams, our parapro. So sometimes I'm got a very awkward schedule, like I'm gone doing book talks in classrooms, and it runs over her regular lunchtime, but the kids are coming down into, so she'll wait until the aides arrive, and then she'll go have her lunch, and the aides are there to help students, which is really cool. Should have added that to the list. They help students find books. And then, of course, they do the displays. So you can see on the Canvas page, literally, they do green and blue news. That's our newsletter, our video news. They create the how-to videos. They create the genres of the months. They do first chapter Fridays every week, read a chapter and this or that. I mean, these kids do a lot of stuff. They really do. And I'm going to show you their schedule soon, but let's listen to Shreya and Vedant.
I have two of my student aides here, and your name is?
I'm Shreya.
And you are?
I'm Vedant.
Okay, and you are both in seventh
Seventh
grade.
grade.
All right. And you've been student aides just this school year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Shreya, why did you choose to apply to become a student aide?
I thought it would be a really fun experience to see how things work around school and to like plan a bunch of things that are important to the school and to like have my ideas heard throughout.
Okay, perfect. And Vedant, now that you've been an aide for almost an entire semester, how do you feel about what you do?
I think it's fun. We do a lot of creative things. We decorate the library. We host a lot of events. We do cool things like this or that, or sometimes we just do book shelving, and then we like do that's around it. Like that's just like a broad overview of what we do.
Okay, now Shreya, this or that, you mentioned that, no one has a clue what that is, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell our viewers, what is this or that?
So this or that is a way to see like what the school thinks on like a topic. So like you would have like two things. Like an example would be band or chorus. Students would vote on their way to lunch because that's a place like where like the whole school goes in the whole school day. So they would like vote, and then you can see like what the student like opinions are on like a specific topic or like a specific thing in the school that's happening.
Right, so last time we did box or sneakers, right? And so Shreya made beautiful little signs. We got little plastic boxes, and then I got a whole bunch of buttons.
Yeah.
And the kids go by and put the buttons in, and we try and stop them from cheating. Right, and then you guys counted the buttons for me, so I got to do a fun activity and had absolutely no work to do. So I really enjoyed that. So if you were talking to a teacher librarian who was thinking, I would like to have students help me, what are some things that you might suggest they could start the students off doing to get going and get some help in their libraries?
Maybe they could like help shelve books because that's like a really big thing that comes in every single like day, and every student like checks out books. So like if they had a lot of help like just shelving books, that would be like a big help to the library.
Okay, awesome. What else could they do, Vedant?
The one we started out with dynamic shelving, which is like it shows the books in a more exciting, a different way. Makes them
like an
pop out.
appealing way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more appealing and
Yeah.
interesting, right? And you guys are really good at dynamic shelving. Did you find it hard to learn how to do that?
No, not really, because it was more about not like just doing it in a certain way.
It's kind of like your feelings. How do you feel, like what appeals to you and like to other people? So then it's like easy because you can like connect to people.
I love that. Now I'm going to ask you a little tricky question that I did not have you find for. So we'll see. We can always believe it.
Mhm.
If someone has little kids, so not like big seventh graders,
Okay.
but maybe even fourth or fifth graders,
Like my sister. Okay.
like your sister. Okay, perfect. Do you think there are jobs that you do that like your sister would be able to help, like in an elementary library, for example?
I think they could like decorations. They can do that because decorations are something that like everybody can connect to and feel the same way about. I mean, like it has like different meanings, but like a bunch of people can do it and they all have like different ways of doing it, so it's more fun.
So like decorating like a book display
Like
or for
book
a holiday.
yes,
something
like,
that.
shelving
yeah.
is one.
Dynamic shelving we could do as well.
Like a lot of different people can do that.
Do you think they could learn how to organize books into shelf books?
They could if they
Yeah.
were smart themselves. They would have
Right,
a good idea
yeah.
what to do.
Because is it really the end of the world if they put the occasional book in the wrong place?
No, not really. People
No.
will find it.
But I tell you guys have made a great change. Do you know how important you've become to how the MLC is run? Do you get a sense of that? Do you feel that?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Ish, yeah.
Do you have a certain amount of pride in how things are going?
Like I feel like confident in what we do, and like I know this is like gonna turn out good, and if it does turn out bad, like
We'll
I know,
fix it.
yeah, I know how to fix it, basically.
Agreed?
Yeah,
Yes.
feels like we do make the MLC a little bit better. Than
Awesome.
what it
Well, I
would've
think you make the MLC a lot better, so thank you very much.
They are so adorable. And I just loved Shreya's description of dynamic shelving, that it's like how you feel about the books. I think that's very cool. Just such great kids. So what's ahead and what changed? All right. So first of all, with our aides, we started off with a notebook. You know, my para was brand new, so she'd never worked in a media center. I was only in my second year, and we'd never had aides before. We had no idea how it was going to work. And so one of the first things that occurred to me, I mean, would occur to anyone, I would think, is you've kind of got to plan those tasks ahead of time. And so we started off with a notebook. You can see it over here. We started with a notebook. Each group of kids got like a section, and we would just keep writing notes in there and check it off as complete or not. And it was okay, but it wasn't the best. So we literally now have planned a whole rotation of tasks, and you can see it here. So this took some work. I won't be kidding, because I just trying to come up with things that how can they do this for the week. So I kind of laid out the week, and we've got first, second, third, fourth week of the month, and then sort of extra ongoing. Did this for each grade and each set of connections. Now, this is for, see right here, this is for 8th grade connections, first and second, and the different months, and then kind of split it out there, 7th grade. And then we're going to start 6th grade in the new semester. So we're going to have 6th grade. So I got them. Now, this is my original one. So you can see I've got some blank spots. That wasn't very clever of me. I will add the current one, make a note right now. I will add the current one, which has them all divided up, so that you can see that and kind of get an idea of the scope of things that we can do. And, you know, no situation is perfect, but I always feel like I'm in as about a perfect situation as I can be, in that I have flexible teaching schedule. The things that are constant and consistent are my fault. I scheduled them, like my weekly book talks, and I'm going to do book reading with our SBA class, and things like that, our reading classes. And then I teach a lot. But it's by choice, right? I set up the dates. I teach all of the research classes for all of the content areas in the school. So I am really busy, but again, I get to schedule them. So it's a little bit different. But having said that, I think that even if you're in an imperfect situation, a couple of points. One, some of these things would be able to help you make your situation better. I really believe that, after experiencing this. And two, sharing some of this with your leadership might help you to change your situation, because there might be certain things that you feel you really can only do if your schedule is freed up a little bit. And this is something I tell you, my principal loves the way the MLC has truly become the hub of the school and is such a thriving and happening place. Training and habit building is key, right? I mean, it just is. I know that my aide is kind of dreading January with the 6th graders, because we have to get them really trained. And then, you know, they're on this rotation of tasks. So second rotation, they're going to be better, so on and so forth. Divide the boring jobs, but keep them there. You know, you want to make it fun because you want the kids to have fun, but life is life. And they are also, my kids are not graded in this. So they don't have homework. They don't have projects like they might if they were taking marketing, or computer science. And so they still have to put the Chromebooks away. They still have to put the nonfiction books away, right? But with the dynamic shelving, with genrefied nonfiction, life is becoming more interesting for them. 3 is a bad number. We definitely discovered that. 3, they just seem to clump together in a little gang. And it really was tricky. So we added 1. We're going to find out what happens in next semester, which is why Mazzy is now going to be an aide as well as on the committee. Next semester, they have the opportunity to have 4. So hopefully we can have kind of 2 pairs assigned to different areas and don't just end up with a clump of 4. What you think is a quick task takes forever, and what you think will take forever is done in record time. I think that's true of anything. I seem to remember that with ELA, but it really stands out with these tasks. I'm like, this or that cards, that'll take 5 minutes. I need to do another job. No, the entire period perfecting on canvas how that card looks. Kids are not as good on technology as we think. And again, that's something I figured out pretty quickly as an ELA teacher, but it bears commenting on. Okay. So now it would be time if we had a whole bunch of people on here for Q&A, but we don't. So I'm going to move right along and go back to my contact information there. I would love to stay in touch with people and be able to learn from you and answer your questions. My kids are probably the best at the brainstorming. They are better than anyone at doing any of these things. They truly are. And I'm thinking we do have some extra time. So I'm going to go back here and talk about some of these things that the aides do. So genre of the month, basically when they set up the genre of the month, they choose the genre of the month, they make a slide, they do a display. They also do a video where they summarize 3 books of their choice, and that goes onto our Canvas page. And maybe they'll do some extra decorating. They do the Green and Blue News, which is our video newsletter that I was telling you about. And now we're going to add a nonfiction display. That's been one of my goals this year, has been to really amp up the nonfiction. We have an update wall just outside. We also now have a bulletin board, but that's going to be a 6th grade task. However, I feel like my 8th and 7th are probably going to help them. And then they work on the ELA unit displays, connecting with our ELA teachers on either the author they're working with or the theme. 7th grade, they do the first chapter Fridays. They also are in charge of our social media campaign. So they do all our TikTok videos. And they and that's pretty much the like shtick. And then 6th grade, we're going to have them start working on story walks. They're going to do the author birthday calendar. They're going to do the bulletin board. So there are all kinds of things the 6th graders will do. And I was going to see if maybe I can bring that up. If I go to my FCS and can show you how I set it up. I go to aides. They never remember to put the E on the end, but I'm a little intense about that. Let's see. So aides, first connection. So the way I've done it is I've done this for each connection, and then I'm going to have a page that they'll each have in their folder for themselves. But you can see right here, this is the first connection group. This is what they do each month. And here we go. So the 6th graders create the story walk, plan it, create it, have advertising slides, check it's in good condition, update the info wall, pack up story walk, and then work on the next month's calendar. There are going to be times where there's a lot of extra time, but that's okay because they also need to be shelving books, putting the Chromebooks away, and so on and so forth. So there's always something for them to do. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you before I left, since I did have time. Now we're going to go back here. And again, I will leave up. I didn't know the dogs were going to be that animated. Leave up my information in case you're interested. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that I was able to answer questions. I hope that I was able to give you a flavor of just how amazing my kids are, what a great job they do. There we go. What a great job they do in our media center, how honestly, they are the difference. And it's due to them that we're able to do so many things. So again, thank you for watching. If you're part of the GLMA, thank you for being a part of the association. And please reach out and let me know what else I can share next month. Happy holidays, everybody. This has been great.